So you're thinking about moving to Atlanta, Georgia, but you're wondering like what's the overall real estate market there like? And one of the best ways that you can gauge that is to look back and see what happened in the last year. And so it's mid-March now. We're going to take a look back. The numbers are finally in for 2021 and see exactly what happened in the real estate market here in Georgia. Share that with you and give you some insights into what that means for you in 2022. So if you've got any interest whatsoever in living in Atlanta, you're going to want to stick around for that. And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, Georgia, well then subscribe below and ring the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Atlanta. My name is Denny. The team and I get calls each and every day from people just like you looking to make the move to Atlanta, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving next week, next year, or anytime in between, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about 2021 in the real estate market. And the reason we're going to do that is because, well, it takes a while for them to get the final numbers. And so we finally have all of that data. The Georgia Association of Realtors just released it. And so I want to share that with you because really it can give us a lot of insights into the current market today and what we might see for the rest of 2022. And so it's really valuable information. And if you'll stick around to the very end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just like the information, the data, and help you apply it, like give you some context for what it might mean to you as you're moving here. So let's dive in. Overall, 2021, you saw a seller's market, right? It started before the pandemic, and then there was some uncertainty in early 2020, 2 years ago. And then towards the end of 2020, the last 18 months, you've really seen the same story, which has been a shrinking of inventory, increased demand, rising prices, and a seller's market. But there's some things happening right now that we're going to want to talk about that might change that for 2022. So in a change from 2021, you had a median sales price increase of 17.9%, almost 18%. And that is really significant and unusual. I'll tell you, from the last 5 years, the median sales price went up 8%, 6%, 9%. And then so 18% is a significant increase in 1 year for year over year. Pending sales, the number of transactions at the end of the year that were in the process of closing, that was also up 4.7%. And that wasn't quite as much as the previous year. So in the previous years, it was up 8.4, 6.5, 10.9, and then a drop to 4.7. And speaking of closed sales, closed transactions was up 6.7%. That was a little bit less than the year before. So going back a couple of years, it was up 9.3, 5.3, 8.7, and now 6.7% from 2020 to 2021. And so I think what you're going to see is overall throughout 2022 is we're going to continue to have, a strong seller's market, tightening inventory, increased demand, rising prices. And so that's what it looked like from 2020 to 2021. New listings, these are new homes coming on the market. That was 194,586 new listings in 2021. That was up about 3.3% from year to year. So that's how many homes are coming on the market. Now, the average sales price, we talked about the median sales price. It actually, and by the way, I didn't mention it, the median sales price is now at the end of 2021 was $295,000. The median sales price is $352,000, and that was up 17.4%. What's the difference in the median and the average? Well, an average, if you don't know, you just add up all the numbers and divide by the total. That gives you the average. The median is actually the number in the very middle. Give you an example. if you had the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 10, well, 10 plus 3 is 13, plus 2 is 15, plus 1 is 16. 1, 2, 3, and 10 is 4 numbers. 16 divided by 4, the average is 4. Does that make sense? Well, 1, 2, 3, and 10, the number in the middle is actually 2 and 3. Those are in the very middle. There's not like a middle. And so the median is actually in that case lower than the average. Just like I told you here, the median home value is $295. That's the home value in the very middle of all of the sales. Whereas the average, you just add them all up and divide. So there you go. The average home price in Atlanta is $352,000. That was up 17.4%. To give you some context, over the last couple of years, 2017, it was 244,000. It was up 6.9% to 261. In 2018, it was up another 3.9%. In 2019 to 271,000. Then 2020, it rose another 10.4% to 299,999, basically 300,000, and then up 17.4% in 2021 to get us to 352,000, and that has continued to rise in 2022. The days on market, and this is where we get to talking about like the seller's market and tightening inventory. Homes are moving quickly, and I'm going to talk about days on market is 29 days. That is down 43%. So back in 2017, and when I say 29 days, that's from the moment it's listed to closed and off the market. Back in 2017, that was 59 days, then 55 days, 55 days, 51 days, and now 29 days. So the homes that are priced right, they are moving quickly, and most homes are selling for almost 100% of the list price, about 99.6 or 7% of list price. So about 100%. Now, the percent is 90. I got ahead of myself. I'm gonna look down at my notes. It's 99.6% is the percent of the sale price to the original list price. And that is actually up 2.6% as well. Back in 2017, homes were selling for about 95.8% of the original list price, and then 96, 96, 97, and now up to 99.6. So for the most part, if a home's priced right, it's moving quickly and they're getting what they're asking for it. There are some instances where homes are sitting, and those are homes that are drastically overpriced. The seller got maybe a little too aggressive, and then once they sit for a while, you start to see reductions, and ultimately you probably end up getting less when you go on the market overpriced. It's always better to be competitively priced when you're listing. And I have been able to work with the team to secure some pretty good deals, even in this market, on properties that were originally overpriced and did sit for a while. For example, I'm in the process of buying a home for my family. We are moving, and that property was originally listed a little bit too high. It is a unicorn. It's 4 acres in Alpharetta. Beautiful property, beautiful home, all those things, but they were a little too aggressive in what they wanted for it. So it sat for a few months, and then I was able to come in and even in this market, after it had been reduced, secure it at even a further reduction in price and get seller paid closing costs back. So really feel like I got a great deal, if you can call it that, in this market. And so that does happen, but you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to have the right team, the right realtor, and that you're working with, and we would love to help you if we can. That being said, most of them, that's not the case. Most of them, if they're priced right, they're selling for what they're offered at. Now, the month supply, what that means is if there were no new listings, no new homes came on the market, how long would it be until we ran out of homes, till all the homes were sold? And right now that is at 1.2 months. It's lower than that in Atlanta, but this is across the entire state of Georgia. 1.2 month supply, which means in about 5 or 6 weeks, if no one listed their home, we'd be out of homes to sell. That's down 25% from the year before. And so continuing to see more reduction in supply and in inventory, and that's what causes those rising rates. There was a total of rising prices, a total of 16,457 homes for sale in 2021. And that was, again, down 24.9%, almost 25%. Just to give you an idea of the inventory, homes for sale back in 2017, that was 36,000. 2018 was 38,000. And then it started to drop 37,956, 21,911, and now 16,457. So from 2019 to 2020, we had a 42% reduction. And from 2020 to 2021, we had another 25% reduction. So we're really way off the peak back in 2018 at this point. Man, I remember back in the crash, there were, I want to say 150,000. I mean, like, it was crazy how much inventory was out there. And so just to give you an idea, that was like almost 10 times the amount of inventory on the market today. And so before I wrap it up, I want to give you some context about townhomes and condos, because they are a little bit different. The average days on market is 28 as well, so also coming down, both of them. But the year-over-year price change for a single family home, I gave you the overall numbers. Single family home was actually up 18.8, and townhome was 14.7. And so, the blended average I gave you earlier is in that 17.9, but 18.4 for single family homes and 14.7 for townhomes. Single family homes are selling at 99.7% of the list price, townhomes at 99.3% of their overall list price. And here's some fun facts that I always think, because you may be looking for a $300,000 home, a starter home, you may be looking for, a $2 million home. I don't know, but sometimes it helps to kind of break out those price bands, those ranges, so that you can really see how the market is acting in each of those areas, because it can be different from one to the other. So from the price from 250 to 350,000, in that price range, they had the shortest days on market at just 23. At $1 million and up, you actually had over 60 days on market. And so from 23 to 60, that it depends on the price point, right? 100,000 to really $1 million, those were in that 23 to 35 days on market. It was the lower priced ones that sat, and the higher priced ones that sat for 53 and 60 days. So interesting fun fact. And then of all the homes for sale, we ended the year with 7.4% of them priced below $100,000. So 7.4% of the homes available for sale at the end of the year were under $100,000. That is down 16.5% from the year before. What that tells us is that because these prices are going up the way that they are, there's just not a lot of options under that $100,000 range. And those are generally, investor properties or fixer-uppers or things of that nature. But even those properties have gone up in value. So now there's less than one, seven out of 100, less than 1 in 10 homes on the market are under that $100,000. 250 to 350,000, again, in that price range, those had the most closed sales. So most of the properties sold out of all of the homes in Atlanta were in that 250 to 350. And then that's up 75%. That means a lot of those home values have come into that range, up 75% from the year before. And ironically, the $1 million and up, they had the fewest closed transactions, which isn't surprising. There's not a ton of $1 million homes or people that can afford $1 million homes, but it was down 32%, which was interesting, because you'd think with price appreciation, they'd be pushing more homes into that range. But as usual, the sweet spot seems to be in that, $250,000 to $500,000 range. Well, I hope that some of that, gives you some insight into the current market. But what I want to do is take a second to really just talk to you about, like, how does all of this information, how does last year's numbers, how does that help you, make decisions about what's going on in 2022? And what are some things that might impact whether or not we see more of that or we see some changes. I'm being honest, like I would have thought personally, in all of my experience in real estate, that we'd have seen, things cool off a little bit and a little bit of a shift in the market before now. But through COVID, the government has done some crazy amount of what they call quantitative easing. It's where they flood the market with more money. And when they do that, the more access to money, the lower the interest rate, the easier it is for people to borrow, the more that they can pay for homes. So that is part of the reason that creates inflation, that creates this pricing. It's also just the dynamics around COVID have people moving and making decisions about where they live. They can work remotely. They don't have to necessarily stay in a specific state or area, or they're not so they don't have to go into the office every day, so maybe they're not as sensitive to commute times, or maybe there's inner city crime that's pushing people out. Maybe it's COVID restrictions, and whether you want an environment that's more or less restrictive. All of these things have really changed the way that people are searching for homes. And so I don't think we're going to see any change on that front in 2022, meaning I don't think people are going to forget that COVID happened. I do think that this move towards more space, towards the suburbs, towards less restrictive oversight locally, a move towards more remote working and going into the office less, has people buying bigger homes that have 1 or 2 offices with 1 or 2 parents home, possibly virtually homeschooling kids. Like all of that stuff has had an effect on how we're shopping for homes. So I do think you're seeing a move towards, different areas that weren't as hot before. And so there still might be some opportunities if you're looking in a market where, it hasn't quite bubbled up the same. But at the same time, rates are starting to rise. The Fed is starting to raise interest rates. And the reason they're doing that is because they're trying to, when rates go up, your purchasing power goes down. I'll do a whole video about this, but that reduces the amount you can pay for a home. And so as they do that, they're hoping to slow down price appreciation. But that actually, even though the home might not cost as much, it might cost you more to pay for it, because with every point of an interest rate, it increases your monthly payment. Are you more interested in how much you paid for the home total or how much you pay every month? And so who knows if they'll be able to slow down price appreciation without completely kind of, making the sky fall and creating a crash and flip a coin. I don't know what the future holds in terms of interest rates or in terms of prices. And anybody that tells you that they do is lying, because none of us have a crystal ball. But I do know this: there are still opportunities in this market. In order to find those and capitalize on them, you have to be working with the right team. And our team does a great job. I've just done it for myself personally, and our team does a great job for our clients. We got a few more clients under contract over the last week or two that were, VA loans, first-time home buyers, moving up and right sizing, moving down, relocating from other areas, all the above. So we would love to be a resource for you. We would love to help you. And if you have any questions or comments, as usual, leave those below. If you have a video idea, share it with me. Maybe I'll cover something I haven't already covered before. But if you haven't subscribed, ring the bell for notifications. That way, when we release new videos. And if you are making the move, or you do want to know how this fits you personally, then call, text, email, schedule a Zoom. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. And until we see you in person, hopefully we'll see you on the next episode.